¿Cómo están, amigos de Comentario Latino? El día de hoy vamos a revisar qué es lo que ha sucedido durante toda la semana entre el 12 y el 17 de octubre. Estamos a escasos 17 días de las elecciones en Estados Unidos. Y bueno, vamos a ver qué es lo que ha hecho el presidente Trump, el ex vicepresidente Biden y en general qué es lo que está pasando en la política de Estados Unidos. Veamos. En la semana comenzó con una queja del Dr. Fauci porque la campaña del presidente Trump había utilizado unas declaraciones que había hecho el Dr. Fauci y que fueron sacadas fuera de contexto y que han sido utilizadas en este aviso publicitario. Veamos.
President Trump is recovering from the coronavirus, and so is America. Together, we rose to meet the challenge, protecting our seniors, getting them life-saving drugs in record time, sparing no expense. President Trump tackled the virus head-on, as leaders should.
I can't imagine that anybody could be doing more. I have been devoting almost full-time on this, almost full-time. I'm down at the White House virtually every day with the task force. I'm connected by phone throughout the day and into the night. When I say night, I'm talking 12, 1, 2 in the morning. I'm not the only one. There's a whole group of us that are doing that. It's every single day. So I can't imagine that under any circumstances that anybody could be doing more.
President Trump tackled the virus head-on, as leaders should.
I can't imagine that anybody could be doing more.
Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the NIH and a key member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Dr. Fauci, good to have you back. I do have to ask you about this Trump campaign advertisement where you're on camera saying, quote, "I can't imagine that anybody could be doing more." You quickly came out with a statement that noted that that sentence had been taken out of context. You were talking about the whole of government response, not President Trump. And of course, you've never endorsed a presidential candidate in your 5 decades of public service. Should the Trump campaign take this ad down?
You know, I think so, Jake. I think it's really unfortunate and really disappointing that they did that. It's so clear that I'm not a political person, and I have never either directly or indirectly endorsed a political candidate. And to take a completely out of context statement and put it in, which is obviously a political campaign ad, I thought was really very disappointing.
What would you say if I told you I heard that the Trump campaign was actually preparing to do another ad featuring you?
You know, that would be terrible. I mean, that would be outrageous if they do that. In fact, that might actually come back to backfire on them. I hope they don't do that, because that would be kind of playing a game that we don't want to play. So I hope they reconsider that. If, in fact, they are indeed considering doing that, I hope that they reconsider and not do that.
Americans don't panic. Trump panicked. Trump is the one who panicked. His reckless personal conduct since his diagnosis as well has been unconscionable. And the longer Donald Trump is president, the more reckless he gets. Dr. Fauci, the most respected person in this area, in the country, referred to the president's announcement event for the Supreme Court in the Rose Garden as a super spreader event, publicly criticizing it. And how is the president responding? He's running a national ad here in Cincinnati and all across the country, quoting Dr. Fauci out of context. Dr. Fauci said back in March, referring to public health officials, quote, "I can't imagine anybody could be doing more," end of quote, referring to public health officials. But Trump and his campaign, who were very much used to deception and not telling the truth, deliberately lied by putting Fauci in his ad, implying that Fauci was talking about Trump, saying he doesn't know how anybody could do any better. And Fauci, after he saw the ad, he went public. You've probably seen it on the nightly news. He came after that and he said, "I did not give permission for that quote to be used, and it wasn't about the president." And even after he said that, and the point, I listened to your talk, even after he said that, look what happened. They continued to lie. They said, we're keeping it in the ad. Same ad that says I'm going to increase taxes on middle-class folks with the same amount of credibility. Look, they use the ad knowing it's a lie. Can you remember any other major mainstream presidential candidate ever doing something like these things? As a consequence of months of overwhelming lying, misleading, and irresponsible action on the part of Donald Trump, how many empty chairs are going to be around the dinner table tonight because of their negligence? How many? How many brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, moms, dads are gone?
A continuación vamos a ver qué otras actividades han tenido los candidatos, los mítines y las entrevistas a lo largo de esta semana.
And we got to remember, I said it right at the beginning, the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. Can't. The cure cannot be worse. But if you don't feel good about it, if you want to stay, stay. Relax, stay. But if you want to get out there, get out. One thing with me, the nice part, I went through it. Now they say I'm immune. I feel so powerful. I'll walk into that audience. I'll walk in there. I'll kiss everyone in that audience. I'll kiss the guys and the beautiful women and everybody. I'll just give you a big fat kiss. No, but there is something nice. I don't have to be locked up in my basement, and I wouldn't allow that to happen anyway. I wouldn't allow it to happen. When you're the president, you can't lock yourself in a basement and say, I'm not going to bother with the world. You got to get out, and it's risky. It's risky, but you got to get out. But it does give you a good feeling when you can beat something, and now they say you're immune. I don't know for how long. Some people say for life. Some people say for 4 months. I mean, every time I think about it, every time I hear them, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter because they want it to be as bad as possible. But it is a great feeling. I want to thank, by the way, Walter Reed Medical Hospital, Johns Hopkins. These guys are incredible.
I want to reform the tax code because we're spending your tax dollars on the wrong things. As I said, Donald Trump cut the tax from 35 to 21, costing the Treasury a fortune. As I said, if we raise it back to 28%, $1.3 trillion will come to the Treasury over the next decade. Instead of giving big corporations hundreds of billions to pay for buying back their own stock, moving jobs overseas, we should invest it in cures for cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. That's why I propose giving the National Institute of Health $50 billion over the next 4 years to go after cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. If we do not, and no drug company has the capacity to do it, if we do not find an answer to Alzheimer's, within the next 19 years, every single solitary bed that exists in the United States of America now will be occupied by an Alzheimer's patient. Look, my dad used to have an expression. He'd say, Joey, if everything's equally important to you, nothing's important to you. You have to have priorities. What are our priorities? Our priorities are to make sure that everybody in America has an equal shot. This is about you. It's about what's fair. It's about what our priorities should be, and we can deal with the scourge of cancer and these other diseases, but Donald Trump has no interest. In fact, he wants to do the opposite. He proposes more tax cuts for the super wealthy. Like Donald Trump, we're going to ease the burden on major costs in your life, unlike him, including a financial burden of caregiving so many families are now carrying. My old football coaches say it's go time. It is go time. No matter whether this year, it is, no matter whether it's your first vote or many beyond that. This is the most important election in our lifetimes. You can make all the difference. Here in Florida, you can determine the outcome of this election. We win Florida, and it's all over.
One that's incredible. Destroy your suburbs. Okay, so they talk about the suburban women. And somebody said, I don't know if the suburban woman likes you. I say, why? But we had this. I love you too. They said they may not like the way you talk, but I'm about law and order. I'm about having you safe. I'm about having your suburban communities. I don't want to build low-income housing next to your house, okay, if that's okay. And I ended the regulation, the rule, that made the zoning so impossible that you had to destroy your communities. And then I hear the suburban woman. I think that the suburban woman, and I used to say suburban housewife, I used to take heat, but I said, does anybody care? Do you care if I say suburban? No, they're all going, no. Again, the only one cares is them. Trump said suburban housewife, but I didn't say it because I don't. You learn very quickly. You learn very quickly. But suburban women, they should like me more than anybody here tonight because I ended the regulation that destroyed your neighborhood. I ended the regulation that brought crime to the suburbs. And you're going to live the American dream, and that's what you're going to do. And remember this, 29% of the people experiencing the American dream in the suburbs happen to be minority, and you don't know that. But 29%, and we're doing this for everybody. We're not doing it one way or the other. We're doing it, and I ended it. They said, sir, we can amend it. I said, no, I don't want to amend it. I want to end it. It was a horror show. And this loser, Cory Booker, is the guy that's going to be in charge of the program. The guy's a stone-cold loser, 1%. He got 1%. He ran. He was going to be great. You know, 1%. Every week. He was like her. Down, down, down. They should have picked him. But no, he'll be in charge of your suburban. So can I ask you to do me a favor? Suburban women, will you please like me? Remember? Please. Please. I saved your damn neighborhood, okay? The other thing, I don't have that much time to be that nice. You know, I can do it, but I got to go quickly. We don't have time. They want me to be politically correct. Oh, yes, let's discuss it. Let's talk about it over the next 10 years. No, no, no. No, we saved we saved suburbia in the U.S. I got rid of a regulation that was a disaster, and it was very unfair, and you've been reading about it for a long time. It's been going on for a long time. It became much worse under Obama and Biden. I got rid of it, and I had a choice. Even my own people said, you never get rid of it, sir. I said, I want to get rid of it. Well, why don't we just amend it? I said, I don't want to amend it. I want to get rid of it. Get rid of it. Okay? And I think we're going to see that the women really like Trump a lot. That happened last time, remember? Remember 4 years ago? 4 years ago, they said, women will never vote for him. I said, why am I so bad? They say the women will never vote. Then I got 52%. They said, what the hell happened with the women?
How's Barron? How is Barron, sir?
Barron's fine, and Amy is doing a fantastic job. We're heading out to Iowa, and we have a big rally. A lot of people, as always, but we have a lot of people. And we look forward to it. And again, Amy, I think, is doing an incredible job.
How's Barron? How is Barron, sir?
Barron's fine, and Amy is doing a fantastic job. We're heading out to Iowa, and we have a big rally. A lot of people, as always, but we have a lot of people. And we look forward to it. And again, Amy, I think, is doing an incredible job. So we'll see you. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
We'll see you tomorrow night about NBC. Yes.
He said, fine, fine.
I don't know. What do you think of that? And then he looked at me and said, we'll see you tomorrow night. There's a lot of makeup on.
Watch. On November 4th, all these Democrat governors that have lockdowns, right? You know, I said right at the beginning, I think it was me that came out first, you know, they'll try and say, 20 years ago, somebody said the same thing. But I said, the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. And if you look at what's happening with these lockdowns to children, get the children back to school. Like, I'll give you an example. The children, 99.9%. Barron Trump, you know, he had the Corona-19, the China virus. It's got 21 different names. I could go over it. But to me, Corona means Italy. China is China, and it came from China. So he had the China virus, right? And he had it for such a short period of time. I don't even think he knew he had it, because they're young and their immune systems are strong and they fight it off. 99.9%. And Barron is beautiful and he's free. Free. In fact, my wife, our first lady, who loves Iowa, by the way, our first lady, she put out that Barron has tested positive. And I said, wow. And we talked about it. I said, you put it out, you're not, you know, it's like personal stuff, but we really haven't. I said, yeah, let's put it out. Barron tested positive. Within like 2 seconds, it was, Barron is just fine now. He's tested negative, right? Because it happens. People have it and it goes. Get the kids back to school. We got to get the kids back to school. Get them back to school.
We were expected to lose. If you look at the original charts from original doctors who are respected by everybody, 2,200,000 people.
That 2 million figure, though, is if you literally did nothing.
People.
We should be thinking about making it mandatory.
How could you enforce that?
Well, you couldn't, but you can say, you can go to every governor and get them all in a room, all 50 of them as president, and say, ask people to wear the mask.
QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior. Disavow QAnon in its entirety.
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. We are working very hard on the DACA program.
Under your administration, no new applicants are allowed. And in fact, the DACA recipients now have to renew every year as opposed to every 2 years. So in fact, the DACA program has been curtailed by your administration.
Well, what happened is because of the pandemic, much changed on the immigration front.
Who do you owe $421 million to?
First of all, let me answer. What they did is illegal. What I'm saying is that it's a tiny percentage of my net worth.
That sounds like
and you'll
yes.
see that soon.
Vice President and the people. Now, President Trump Town Hall.
Welcome to our town hall with Joe Biden. Mr. Vice President, welcome to you.
Good to be with you.
Welcome, Mr. President, and thank you for being here.
That was very well stated, I have to say. Good job.
Do you have any remaining symptoms from COVID?
Nothing whatsoever. I'm great. I feel good.
And you don't know if you took a test the day of the debate?
Possibly I did. Possibly I didn't.
We're in a situation where we have 210,000+ people dead. And what's he doing? Nothing. He's still not wearing masks and so on.
And something happened, but as far as the mask is concerned, I'm good with masks. I'm okay with masks. I tell people wear masks. But just the other day, they came out with a statement that 85% of the people that wear masks catch it.
Well,
so, you know,
they
this
didn't
is a
say that.
very
I know
tricky,
that study.
That's what I heard, and that's what I saw.
And when a president doesn't wear a mask or makes fun of folks like me when I was wearing a mask for a long time, then, you know, people say, well, it mustn't be that important.
If a vaccine were approved, would you take it? Would you mandate that everyone has to take it?
Yes, I would take it. I'd encourage people to take it. We should be thinking about making it mandatory.
How could you enforce that?
Well, you couldn't. That's the problem. Just like you can't enforce measles.
Why does it seem like...
I denounced white supremacy, okay?
You did 2 days later.
I've denounced white supremacy for years. You didn't ask Joe Biden whether or not he denounces Antifa. And frankly, you want to know something? I denounce Antifa.
While we're denouncing, let me ask you about QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that.
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact.
Just this week, you retweeted to your 87 million followers a conspiracy theory.
That was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves. I don't take a position.
You're not like someone's crazy uncle who can just retweet whatever.
If you lose, what will that say to you about where America is today?
I hope that it doesn't say that we are as racially, ethnically, and religiously at odds with one another as it appears the president wants us to be.
They're talking about ballots that are corrupt, that are fraudulent.
And your own FBI director says there is no evidence of widespread fraud.
Well, then he's not doing a very good job.
What do you say to those Americans to maybe tell them why you want the corporate tax rate lower and why that helps them?
It's a great question. We've created more jobs than this country has ever created. And if Biden comes in and raises taxes on everybody, and you'll end up with a depression, the likes of which you've never had.
He talks about a V-shaped recovery. It's a K-shaped recovery. If you're on the top, you're going to do very well. If you're in the middle or the bottom, your income is coming down.
The Trump administration has attacked the rights of transgender people. How will you, as president, reverse this dangerous and discriminatory agenda?
I will flat out just change the law. There should be zero discrimination.
I've done more for the African American community than any president, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln. This should have been done years ago. Plus, I got rid of the middlemen, and I gave Ron DeSantis the right to go to Canada in the meantime, because I think eventually you'll be using this. But in the meantime, you'll also be getting the rebates, okay? Rebates, you know who they go to? The middlemen. You know how rich the middlemen are? I'm rich. These guys blow everyone away. I don't know. Nobody even knows who the hell they are. Did you ever hear? Does anybody know a middleman? Would like to meet. Yeah, it's Biden's son. It's Hunter. Oh, it's Hunter. I'll bet you Hunter is a middleman. He's collecting. He's like a vacuum cleaner. He follows his father around collecting. What a disgrace. It's a crime family. You want to know something? It's a crime family. He's following his father. Hunter Biden is a middleman. Oh, that's wild. No, these people are amazing. These middlemen, you're right. Hunter made no money until his father became vice president, and now he's like a vacuum cleaner. His father goes to Germany, Hunter's right there. Hey, give me a couple of million. Not a couple of million, a hell of a lot more than a couple of million. That's a shame. I'll tell you what, it's an organized crime family as far as I'm concerned. I capped out-of-pocket costs, and the way they get protected by big tech and by the media doesn't want to ask. You know, they didn't ask. This is the hottest subject there is right now. And I didn't watch Sleepy Joe last night. I just wanted to see what he looked like. He wasn't looking too good. I just couldn't watch. It was too painful. But you know, they didn't, I understand that they did not ask him a question about this. Can you believe it?
If we can't unite the country, we're in trouble. America and our system runs on consensus. Compromise is not a dirty word. I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to govern as an American president. I'll work as hard for those who don't support me as those who do. I do not see America in terms of red and blue. Bringing the country together, that's the job of a president. It's a duty to care for everybody. We can be so much better than what we've seen. We can be what we are at our best when we're the United States of America. But folks, you have to vote. And people are turning out here in this state in overwhelming numbers around the country. If you have any doubt, go visit iwillvote.com/M-I. Early voting is happening now in every city and township clerk's office in the state. You can register and vote in one quick stop. If you have your ballot already, mail it or drop it in a drop box today.
But the most insidious thing that Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden are trying to perpetrate, and Bernie and Elizabeth and Kamala, I don't know. whatever, they're trying to perpetrate a lie. And that is that socialism, this radical socialism that they're trying to sell us, is better than our beloved democracy.
Biden had a rally today, like 13 people showed up, and they don't talk about it. They say, Biden is here. The one guy actually made a mistake. He called him Sleepy Joe. He's an announcer. That guy's job is good. But Vice President Biden is here today. He's making a speech on the environment. He has no idea what he's talking. They don't say that there's nobody there. You know, he's got the circles, right? The circles. Do you ever see it? He's got like 5 circles. And he goes there, and people are standing. And the reason that, and the circles, not only are they big, although I love the artistry because the guy really does a nice job. You know, I'm into that stuff. It's very neat, very round, beautiful, solid. I mean, it would be impossible to catch anything if you're in one of those circles because you're so far away. It's like, but I never joke about it. I mean, I don't think it's necessary for Sleepy Joe to constantly, you know, he walks onto a stage, the people are, number one, there's no people there. And the few people that are there are like, what, 50 yards away? And the mask is always so large, you know, it's like covers the whole thing. I shouldn't joke. I shouldn't joke because you know what? Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Men and women of Pennsylvania, we have a choice to make. You got to talk to your neighbors and friends about it. As our economy is coming back through this difficult year, you got to ask yourself, who do you think can bring this economy all the way back? A career politician who spent 47 years in Washington, D.C., raising taxes, stifling our economy under regulations and economic surrender, or a proven job creator in President Donald Trump who created 7 million good-paying jobs, is going to do it again for 4 more years. The President said yesterday, quite honestly, it's a choice between a Trump recovery and a Biden depression. So for our families, for our jobs, for the great American comeback that every American wants, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House.
¿Qué les pareció, amigos? Espero sus comentarios y no olviden suscribirse al canal para siempre mantenerse informado con las últimas noticias de Estados Unidos y del mundo.